Hello, everyone. So I come your way again with some questions or some stuff that people in our group are asking. So students who are trying to look for graduate opportunities or opportunity for graduate school in Canada and the US are asking these questions, all right? Now, remember, in my previous emails, I always talk about the fact that there are two scenarios. One is when you already have one is when you don't need to contact a prof before you apply for admission, okay? And some programs like economics, the social sciences, and some of these programs, they already have a criteria for applying. You go to their website, you fill in the application forms, submit all the things that they are asking for, and then you submit your application. Now, at the end of the day, a committee of professors and staff will sit down, go through all the submitted applications, and then they select the top applicants and give them the stipend or the scholarship or the offer. All right. So you would have to check whether in your program they will require you to contact a prof before you apply, or you can just go ahead and apply. All right. Now, for those in engineering and the sciences and STEM, a lot of the schools in Canada and US will ask you to contact a potential supervisor or a professor before you apply. Okay. Now, we already went through this, how this whole thing works. So today, I'm going to be talking about when you have your CV ready, when you have your transcript ready, and you want to send your CV and your transcript to a potential prof, how are you going to write your email? All right. Okay. That's what I'm talking about today. So with this one, again, when you are sending anything to a prof about inquiring about potential open positions in their lab, then you would have to always attach what? A CV, okay? If you don't attach a CV, don't send it, and then attach a transcript. If you don't know how to prepare a CV, a research CV, I have a previous video on that. Please watch it, because I talk about some of the things that some of the profs look out for. Okay, so make sure you are adding a CV and a transcript. Now, the whole idea of the CV is to tell them about your experiences, right? But what people fail to do is tailoring of their CV. All right, you have to tailor your CV towards the research that the prof is actually doing. When it comes to my group, again, we do 3D printing, we do material characterization, biomechanics, tissue simulant materials and all that, right? And so if you are contacting my lab and you have expertise in, let's say, chemistry, and you are not able to tailor your experiences towards my research, then we are not a good match. So you shouldn't even send me an email at all. All right. But if you have experiences and then you have the background in the research field of that prof, then you should make sure that those experiences and backgrounds that better reflect the research interest of the professor are what brought up on your CV. So I have instances where people from mechanical engineering are trying to contact me for open positions. And when they contact me, they talk about fluid mechanics. They talk about other things that are not related to my research. I'm not even going to continue reading your email because it seems you don't know what I do, all right? And I don't want a student like that. Now, if you can tell me how your experiences are a direct match for my position, then tell me in your CV, all right? So somebody from mechanical engineering background can actually draw on their experiences during internships. For example, those from Africa, we do internships and attachment, when we are having these programs. A lot of people in other places do that as well. In Canada, US, they do that, but some of them is not mandatory. But for example, in my program in Ghana, you would have to go for an internship or what they call attachment, all right? And so some of those experiences can actually be used to demonstrate how you are a direct link to what the prof is doing. I'll give you an example. I did aerospace engineering. We went to the Air Force for my attachment like almost every 3 months, right? When we go for the long vacation. When we go, some of the stuff that we do, it's like welding and all that. You might think that is not important, but when you're applying to a prof, I can actually let them in the materials field. I can actually let them know that even though I'm from aerospace, I have some form of experiences that are related to the materials research that he or she is doing. And so I'll make sure that those experiences are brought up in my CV for them to know that I have that link with them. Okay, now this one is not about CV, so don't go there. But again, I want you to know that don't just be sending one CV to every prof when the research fields are different. I do materials research on metals and ceramics. I don't do anything on polymers. And so if you are writing to me about polymers, then you don't know what I do. And your CV should either reflect my experiences or the prof that you're actually writing to. We have other profs who are doing research on polymers. So if you have extensive expertise in polymers, you should be writing to those profs, all right? So make sure that your CVs are always tailored towards the research that the prof is doing, okay? And then you add your transcript. It can be official or unofficial transcript, that is okay. Now, what I recommend is that if you are coming from, it's not really needed, but it may help your chances. Why? If you are coming from, let's say, Africa, or you're coming from a country other than the US and Canada, and your transcript is not in the standard format. So in Canada, we have A+, we have what? A, we have A-, we have B+, B, B-, you know, and that kind of thing. And so if your transcript does not really have these things, then it becomes a little bit difficult for the prof to interpret your transcript. I have instances where I had to contact somebody from that country to be able to check whether the transcript is really a good match. Somebody will say, oh, they have a description at the back of the transcript. It means nothing. I can't relate. And I'm not the only one. A lot of the profs can relate. I can tell you that. I've seen a lot of profs in other departments who have contacted me about potential applicants from Ghana. And they're asking me, is this a good transcript or not? Why? Because they just can't tell, regardless of whatever they've written at the back there. Because, for example, our A+ is from 90% and upwards. In Ghana, like KNUSC, when it gets 70, it's considered to be an A. I don't know what that is, all right? So whatever they've written down there really means nothing, all right? And so one of the things that, it's not like it means nothing, it means something. I apologize for using that language. It means something, but people can't relate to that. So what I recommend is that if you can, that is if you can take your transcript to World Education Service for academic evaluation, all right? And then they, in turn, they will convert your transcript to the standard Canadian and US transcript. And it becomes easy for the prof to read. So as soon as you attach your transcript, they easily can assess whether this person is a good student or not. I always recommend people do this if they can. Now, the second thing, advantage of doing this too, is that when you are applying for, if you have a World Education Service academic evaluation transcript, you can use that as your official transcript to apply for admission to any school in Canada and the US. Okay, so far as my experiences are concerned, I've seen that a lot. There's a recent student who just applied to different schools in Canada and they accepted his World Education Service academic evaluation. So you can use that because it makes it easier for the prof to really understand your transcript. Don't be saying, oh, there's a, an explanation of what those things mean at the back of the transcript. It means nothing because your A is 70. Over here, if you get 70, you are nowhere near A, all right? You are, B's and all that. Okay, so you should really look at this because sometimes profs are not getting back because they really don't understand your transcript. That is one of the things that happens, okay? So make sure that you are doing all that you can to help with the process. And I know it's expensive to do these things, but again, there's no other options that I know of. So our focus today will be on what can we do when we are writing an email to the prof, okay? What should be done? All right, and I'll talk more about it soon. And then sometimes some students, especially those with masters, they already have a journal publication or a conference publication. That is awesome. Now, to me, other profs too, I think they have the same idea that if a student already has a journal publication, it means they have their mind on research. All right, and that is really a good thing. So in as much as you have all these publications in your CV, make sure that you actually let the prof really know. Sometimes what I advise people to do is take a screenshot of the first page of your published journal paper, if it is already available online, and add it to your CV and then your transcript, okay? Now, especially if the published research is related to the work that the professor is doing. If it is not related, it's okay to add it, but it will make a strong connection if it is related to the research that the professor is actually working on, okay? So in that case, you can add maybe one or two that is a direct match to what the prof is doing. If you don't have any, that's fine, but if you have any, you can add that, it's awesome, okay? So when we are writing the emails, what should we write? What should we say? The first thing I want everybody to know is to make sure you always have what? A clear subject line, right? I've seen people send me emails and then it doesn't have a subject. That's not even my biggest worry. But they copy maybe other 2-3 professors in that same email. It's like you are applying to 3 different companies at the same time. That's what it means, okay? And in that case, well, I'm not going to read, other prof may read, but it's like, okay, we are sure that maybe if I don't pick you, another person will pick you, so that's fine. So I always advise, never do that. Never send an email to multiple professors at the same time. 1. 2, I've seen instances where people send emails to Professor A, and then they copy the same email to Professor B. And in that email, you realize that this university is different from this university. And I've seen that. I can show you some of them where students are just copying the emails that they send to other universities to me. And they even have the name of those universities in those emails. It shows the kind of student that you are. I know it's frustrating, but again, picking somebody to do a research who does this, it speaks negatively to me. So I'm not going to even respond to that email, right? So make sure that, think of it as a job application. You are writing and applying to every single person at a time. You are tailoring your CV to suit that job advertisement or to suit that research interest of the professor. If you can't do that, please don't do it, okay? So have a clear subject line, all right? The typical one can be inquiry from a prospective graduate student, all right? It's, a good line. At least as soon as the prof sees that, they know that this student is actually coming to ask for open position. And it's okay, it's good, so that you don't keep people thinking about stuff. Now, the most important thing is this one, you have to be concise and straight to the point. Don't waste anybody's time. You know why? Because there are a lot of people who are also sending emails to the prof, a lot of people. So if you are not concise and straight to the point and you don't keep it short, then the potential of even getting that email read is really, really low, right? So you have to write a concise and professional letter, straight to the point. You can start with dear Professor, hello, Professor A, B, and C, that kind of thing. And then you go straight to the point, all right? So you have to start with making a connection. So you have your subject line, okay? And then you have your salutation, whatever you want to, so subject line, and then your salutation, all right? The third thing should be the first paragraph. And this first paragraph should be making a connection. That is if you have one. If you don't have one, you should try and make a connection, all right? And that is, the first thing that you want to know is, especially if somebody in the prof's research lab referred you, or you heard the professor at a conference, or you read their paper, or something, you can actually use that to make a simple 1-sentence connection, okay? Remember, we are keeping it short, straight to the point. So I watched your conference presentation on blah, 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 and I'm very interested in this research. Simple, make a connection if you can, okay? Make a connection. Now, the second thing is you have to be clear about what you want. So my first paragraph, it's just one paragraph. Don't be I have people sending 3 paragraphs in an email. Trust me, in the first paragraph, even don't get read, right? Because what I do is that, I'm going to read it later. And then it gets buried in the emails, So now be clear about what you want. Ask direct questions right from there. Will you be taking a new master student in the coming fall? Will you be taking a new PhD student in the coming winter? All right. So I make a connection, maybe one, sentence. The next sentence is, asking if they are going to take a new student. Of course, they know if you are a potential student, so they have this. But you ask them directly. Don't craft stuff that is going to waste everybody's time. And once you make that connection, and then you make the connection, and then you ask what you want in terms of if they are taking new students, taking new PhD students in the coming academic year. Then you let them know that you are very interested in their research and you would like to join their research team. After that, so now I've already talked about 3 sentences. The first one is what? Making the connection, 1 sentence. Second one is, asking if they are taking on new students in the coming semester. Okay, another sentence. And then the third one, after you end, you can actually add the third sentence that you are interested in their research. It's okay. Then the 4th sentence will be to introduce yourself. Concise, straight to the point. All right. My name is A, B, and C. I'm a student, or I have expertise in blah, 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 that kind of thing. Straight to the point. Introduction of yourself, 2 lines, 3 lines, all right? Unless you have a strong connection, then in that case, you might want to draw out some of those connections, all right? And quickly, like 2 sentences, that's all. No, don't be sending paragraphs, all right? So where you study or studied, your research interest, why the interest in their professor's work, okay, and what you bring on the table. Right. So I have expertise in A, B, and C, and D, and this is, very relevant to your research areas that I've seen on your profile. Simple stuff, 2, 3 sentences, you are done. All right. And that is important. So now remember your subject line, you come up with your salutation, you come up with what? Making a connection. Okay, if you have one, and then you go straight to what you want from them. So are they picking students or not? All right. And then the next one is what? Introducing yourself. Now, people start with the introduction of themselves. It's okay, but I really prefer this so that I don't have to read a whole bunch of things. I know exactly what you want, and then I move on. Okay. And it's not like they are being rude or anything. Trust me, they have a lot of emails to go through every time. And if you don't go straight to the point, it gets buried in the list of emails, and that's it. Okay, so state why you're approaching this particular professor and why your research interest and goals are a good match. All right. Again, 1 or 2 sentences. Don't come and write an essay here, because it will be very difficult for a lot of the profs to read all of them. Okay. Now, refer briefly to specific published articles by professors that interest you. So this may work for some people, this may not work for some other profs, all right? So for example, student writes me, I recently read your article, blah, 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 and all that. But remember, I said that the professor may have money or not for that particular research. So you have to make it open. You don't want to be too specific with the research that you want, because he may not have money at that particular time for that specific research that you are interested in. Okay, so you might want to keep that really open, not too, narrowed down, because I have people coming to me, I want to do research in AB, and I'm like, okay, I have money for C, I don't have money for AB. And it may be the scenario, unless the prof has advertised that they have specific money for this project. In that case, you go straight to the point, bang on. You don't just, waste time with anything. If the prof has made an announcement that they have money for this project and you're a direct match, you go straight to that. And then, but don't just be saying, I have read your paper and I'm interested in this research. No, because I may have already finished with that research and I don't have money for new students. I have moved on to another thing. So make sure you stay in the general interest of the prof. And that is why, please, if you are not interested in the research that the prof is doing, don't even send them an email. All right, because it's just not going to be a good thing. And then state why you're interested in graduate studies, again, 1 sentence, another. So for me, I'm not expecting more than, 7 sentences from this 1 paragraph, 7 sentences, you're done. All right, with the straight to the point thing at the back of your mind. Okay. And then some people also have funding. If you have funding, tell the prof. I have people who come to me and I have my own funding from this scholarship board, and I'm interested in your research. In fact, with that, I'll even say that you should add it to the subject. In that way, I know this is a student who has funding already. And that may boost your chances of getting a response. Now, again, the fact that you have funding doesn't mean that you should still be specific on the research that you want to do, considering my research interest. Why? Because remember, for the engineering and the sciences, the research itself is expensive. Okay, sometimes I send students and then we have to go buy stuff for $7,000, $8,000, and we are using that for research. It's expensive. Where is the prof going to get money from? You have money for your tuition fees and taking care of yourself. But remember, they still need money to pay for the cost of the research. Okay, so again, even though you might have your own funding, I always advise that still don't be too specific with the particular project you want to work on, because it might be too expensive and beyond the research scope of the prof. I have a scenario where a student got in touch with me. They wanted to do a specific type of research on tissue materials. They wanted to develop some form of tissue materials. It's expensive to do this type of research. So even though they have funding, I didn't have the resources to kind of do that type of research. Okay, so again, if you have funding, please add it. If you don't, then there's no need to talk about that. All right. So lastly, you thank them. You have to thank them. It's a polite way. Again, 1 sentence. Okay, thank you very much. For your attention. Something. Very simple. Don't go into anything, all right? And then you can add that you are available for a teleconference, a video conference, a Zoom call, or you are maybe in that particular place and that you want to get in touch with them for an in-person interview. That would be great, okay? That would be great. And then after that, that's it. You follow up. So maybe after a week or two, if you don't hear back from them, you follow up maybe once. Now, for me, the best follow-up, okay, take this from me. The best follow-up is if you know somebody in that department or that university. I always have students who come to my lab or my office with CVs of their friends or their colleagues who are interested in my research. And it's easy. It's like I have to go through it, whether I want it or not, right? And that is one of the best ways to really go about it. So if you have a friend, if you know somebody in that university, that department, that is awesome. That is awesome, okay? And that will be the best follow-up because the emails are always coming in. And so if you can get somebody to walk directly to the professor's office, then it'll be a good thing. Now with COVID, it's not advisable because I don't think profs are really allowing strangers to come to the office now or something, maybe because of the lockdowns and all these kind of things. But if you have an opportunity for somebody to follow up for you in person, that's awesome. So before they go to the prof's office, they can just walk in because we have an open door policy. So if they have a transcript in their hand, they hand it over to the prof, or they can go send and tell them that, oh, I am a student here. My friend is really interested in your research. He sent you an email. And maybe the prof will say, okay, can you ask them to send it again? That kind of thing. So getting somebody to put in a word for you is awesome. Okay. And if you don't have that option, then you can send a polite email reminder. And then, that will be it. If after 2-3 weeks, you don't hear back from them, you should move on. Okay. And so that is really what I have to say on sending emails to the prof. So a summary here is you have a clear subject line. Okay. You have to be concise and straight to the point. You have to make a connection. You have to be clear about what you want from them. Introduce yourself, thank them, and follow up. All right. So again, having a clear subject line is important. The concise and straight to the point, single sentences, don't have multiple essays over there, right? Making a connection is important. If you were referred to them by somebody, if you know somebody in their research lab, if you met them at a conference, if you heard them present at a seminar, a webinar, or whatever it is, if you read their journal paper, maybe you can use that to make a connection, all right? And then you have to be clear about what you want from them. Quickly ask, direct to the point, I would like to know if you are picking new master students for the upcoming year, or you are picking new PhD students for the upcoming academic year. Straight to the point. After that, that is when you have to introduce yourself. Okay, so they know all about you. If they're interested, they'll go ahead and look at who you are and where you are coming from. And again, you've added your transcript and your CV, so they can go up and check if they really want. All right. So it is what it is. I think you'll be fine. You just have to keep the hopes alive. Make sure that you are creating a tailored CV to the prof. If you are not a good match, please don't go in, because then it might be difficult to demonstrate how you're a good match for their research, all right? And once you are done, hopefully if things go well, they're going to ask you for an interview or a chat or a discussion. And with that, you can watch my video on how you can also prepare for some of these chats and interviews. Now, think of it that it's a job advertisement, or think of it as applying for a job. Okay, that's how you are supposed to treat this, because it's competitive. There's so many people who are applying, and so the prof also has limited time on these things, and they have to really make sure that they go through what they want and select the right people for the job. That is all that they are looking out for. Okay, thank you very much, and good luck in your search.